Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really powerful concept, the awakening of women. This isn't just about one group. It's a vision for how all of humanity can finally unlock its full potential. Let's get into it. Just think about that for a second. We are not as developed as we should be. And why is that? Well, a big reason is that we've kept women confined, meaning only half the population has been able to progress. This really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about. It's not just about injustice to one group. It's like we've put a giant handbrake on all of humanity. Our collective progress? Yeah, it's been seriously limited. So let's start with a diagnosis. We're looking at this whole thing as a collective imbalance, something that affects every single one of us, not just one half of society. The logic here is pretty straightforward, right? When only men are progressing, society's speed just gets cut in half. Why? Because they're basically carrying the weight of the other 50%. I mean, think about it like a team race. If half your team is running, but the other half has to be carried on their backs, how fast are you really going to go? Not very. That's the core diagnosis here. We're a society held back by limits we put on ourselves. Okay, but how in the world did we get here? To really get a grip on this imbalance, we have to go back. We need to look at the roots of it all, this long shadow of patriarchy. And it was a pretty huge social shift over time. If you look way back in ancient times, many societies were actually matriarchal. Women had full freedom, they were even the heads of clans. But then things started to change. In what's called the Kshatriya era, think the Age of Warriors, male dominance started to take over. Women were seen as, precious wealth, but their rights started to shrink. And then came the Vipra era, an age of intellectual and priestly classes. And this is where things got even worse. Dogmatic rules were created that just systematically crushed women's status. And when you put these two eras side by side, wow, the contrast is it's night and day. We go from a time when women had full freedom and respect, where they were the head of the clan, to an era where they were basically put on the same level as animals and cattle. From tracing lineage through the mother, to a woman losing her entire existence if she didn't have a husband. It just shows you how deep and total this transformation really was. And this is a really crucial point. This was more than just physical or social control. It was psychological warfare. By crippling women economically, they became so dependent on men that, and get this, the very sense of injustice was erased from their minds. Just imagine that. When a system of oppression goes on for long enough, people can start to believe it's normal, that it's just the way things are. They lose the ability to even see the injustice. So, how was this system actually enforced? Well, it wasn't just about physical force. No, it was much more subtle than that. It was maintained by a whole set of social rules and dogmas, basically the weapons of oppression. And these are some seriously heavy chains, both economic and social. You had the dowry system, which turned having a daughter into a financial burden. Then you have absolutely horrific practices like sati, where widows were burned alive on their husband's funeral pyre. There was the purdah system, literally confining women to their homes, and of course denying them education and property rights to make absolutely sure they could never be independent. Each one of these was another lock, another link in the chain. And let's be clear, according to this perspective, this wasn't some kind of accident. It was a conscious strategy. The idea is that a group of selfish men deliberately created these rules to build a deep-seated inferiority complex in women and in other marginalized groups to keep them down. Okay. So that's the problem, and that's the history. It's pretty heavy stuff, but the good news is there's a powerful and really hopeful vision for the solution. This is the path forward. This is how we get to balance. And the solution is actually incredibly clear. It boils down to two fundamental steps to freedom. Step one, education. Women have to become educated to free their minds from all that dogma. And step two, economic self-reliance. They have to become economically independent to finally break those chains of dependency. It's that simple and that profound. And this is the central metaphor for this whole idea. Men and women are like the two wings of a bird. Just picture that. And ask yourself, can a bird fly with only one wing? No way. It would just flap around, stuck on the ground. For humanity to truly soar, to reach its full potential, both wings have to be strong, free, and working together. So the goal here isn't to just flip the script, right? It's not about replacing one dominant group with another. The whole point is to get rid of that kind of hierarchy altogether. The vision is for a coordinated, cooperative leadership between men and women. It's about partnership, not a power struggle. And this equality, it has to be everywhere. It's not enough to just have it in the mundane sphere, social and economic stuff like jobs and laws. That's a start. But it also has to exist in the psychic realm. We're talking intellectual and emotional respect. And it even has to extend into the spiritual realm, where every single person has an equal right to grow and find their purpose. So, what does a world built on these principles actually look like? Let's talk about that vision of a truly healthy society. Let's build a new dawn. And you know what? The outlook is actually really optimistic. The idea is that we're already in the middle of a huge psychological shift. As more people become awakened, our collective self-confidence and intelligence are just going to keep increasing. And in this new world, it's not physical strength that matters most anymore. It's the power of the intellect. This massive shift makes a whole new social order possible, one where there's zero discrimination in any part of life, social, educational, religious, you name it. One where all women have full economic and social security, where all symbols of slavery are just gone, and where we all operate from a core belief that nobody in society is negligible. A new era of real, coordinated cooperation. And this brings us to a final, incredibly powerful call to action. It says, let women be the vanguard of a new revolution which humanity must achieve for a glorious tomorrow. This isn't about women being saved. No, this is about women leading the charge, being the vanguard of a revolution that lifts up all of humanity. So that brings us to the end. We've talked about a lot of history, but this message is really about right now. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. What dogmas, big or small, are still holding us back? In our own lives and our society today, what's stopping us from really, truly flying on two wings? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer.